Everybody, and thank you for the thumbs up and welcome to what is going to be, well, I would say about an hour long, not the normal length of time, post on here on Zenny62 live vlog or daily vlog live, but I'm quite excited to talk about. It's been a busy day, wow, hasn't it? Wow, net neutrality, Star Wars The Last Jedi is out, great movie, saw it last night, took my mom to see it. And then of course, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority had a really weird meeting today. That's the best way that I can put it. Well, for now, I'll think of other superlatives. But for those of you watching this as a video on demand, I'm live, and I'm saying hello to people who are putting their messages in the chat area, and I'm saying hello to John Marks and a newcomer, Yo Werbe, who says hello. Welcome, by the way. And John Marks, moderator at the ready. I think this is going to be an interesting time. So, Gio, welcome. Just a word of warning. John Marks has an itchy moderator trigger finger. Steve Macy, as does Steve Macy. How are you? As always, hello, Mr. Macy. And I am going to, Barry Lee, if you're here, is Barry Lee here? Barry, are you here? Barry Lee? Never going once or twice, but Barry, are you here? Are you here? And Melvin Lovejoy says, what is Eddie's magical touch? Eddie DeBartolo? Interesting. Eddie's magical touch. Don't know who that is. You want to elaborate on that, Melvin? Nice to have you here, by the way. Did anyone else get a chance to see the Stadium Authority meeting today? Either my broadcast, the audio with the occasional look at scenes, or the KNTV Las Vegas stream on Facebook. Did you get a chance to see that? Oh, how was Star Wars? Wow, I posted a review just ahead of this, a live stream review, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it a 9. It was the best Star Wars movie of all of them, going back to the original 1977 Star Wars. I'm serious. It was a really awesome movie. Really loved it. Thank you for sending out the tweet, Barry. Thank you very much. And it was just fantastic. So I can't say enough about it, but then I did say a lot about it in the previous live stream. Hennessy says, I think UNLV will hold out. Why bend over backwards for the Raiders? Just saying. That gets to what I really want to talk about here, and that's this massive appearance of a cover-up. That was a very disturbing meeting. It was as if someone had gotten hold of the board members and the people in the audience and quite literally drugged them. As Barry Lee says, feeling bad, have some fever. Oh, sorry about that, Barry Lee. But I am really concerned that we are not at all getting the picture here. Do I know if UNLV was at the meeting? Was at UNLV. So I'm certain there was someone in the audience representing UNLV that was taking notes. I don't know the cast of characters by face, all of them that was in the room, but it would be difficult for me to imagine a situation where there wasn't someone from UNLV in the room representing their interests. So there. Now, Steve Macy says, I'm guessing someone with deep pockets is helping UNLV get this done. I wonder who might that be. And J.O. Urbe says, I believe it. The government are all crooked. Well, that's okay. I don't know. That was a fair statement to make, J.O. That's fine. Vincent, how are you? Vincent says, Zenny, today will be known as the day media was changed forever. Yes, Disney bought Fox, and Pay and the FCC killed net neutrality. for now. Can that go to Congress? You know, I'm going to do a separate live stream on that, and I thank you very much, Vincent, for bringing that to my attention early on, because it is quite a serious issue. But I also congratulate, having said all that, my acquaintance, friend, Bob Iger. I have met Bob Iger. I have an interview here at Zinni62 on YouTube with Bob Iger. We were all in Houston for the NFL owners meeting that decided the fate of the effort to bring an NFL team to Carson, California. And he and I, Bob Iger, have a mutual friend, Marla. In fact, we talk about that on camera because he turns toward the end of the interview, or the discussion, excuse me, because it's what they call a gaggle, a press gaggle. We're moving along, right? And he goes, "Hey, how's Marla?" You know, so because Marla had said before I went to meet Bob, said, "Hey, tell him you know me," and I mentioned it, and he perked up. "Hey, how's she doing?" You know, because they work together. Bob Iger is a cool guy. I mean, he is, for as much power as he wields, the most down-to-earth, connective person I have ever met. I'm serious. Not on the other hand, yeah, I met quite a few people. I worked for Jerry Brown. I mean, I've been around now. I can say that with some authority. Yeah, with some absolute authority. I can definitely say that. So, Vincent rightly points out that Disney will own all the Fox regional sports networks, and Donis has a movie coming out. Donis, what's it called? Do you have an announcement? I'm sorry, Donis has an announcement. Your movie is on YouTube, and it's called Stranded. Okay, let me do this, because I can't, and I will not. Let me put it this way, Donis. I'll be honest with you. I will not post a photo. Excuse me, not a photo. That's a different story. But I won't post or turn to a stream of it now because of a copyright issue that came up the last time I did that on your behalf that kind of hurt me temporarily. I got over it. That's not your fault, but I'm just saying I am delighted to schedule with you a time where we can discuss your movie and what it's about, and you know, get it out there, get the word out, and promote it as I've done for others. This is not that time, however. All right. So, Barry Lee says, "I'm sorry, the fever says time for bed." Hey, Barry, sorry about that, man. Thanks for sticking around. And Vincent informs us that Disney Fox will go through regulations for at least 12 months, so the sale is pending. Yes. Now, let's get back to this talk of stadiums. Steve May says, "I wish the A's and Raiders would build a stadium with a retractable roof." Right. I want to talk about the problem with this deal right now, okay? Because, hey, go CSU Rams, because it was evident to anyone who had the opportunity to see it. I will review, and I think the best way to review it is to go over the agenda that came up and talk about what reared its head, what thing came out, what monster of thing came out of that creature of a meeting. Because that's exactly what it was a creature of a meeting. Hey, Sean Grogan, how are you? Creature of a meeting. Now, we still don't know. We're done for the year. The last meeting was today. All right? That was today. Now, in terms of the agenda we have, I'm going to go right back to the agenda. I'm not going to go through it in the way that I went through it the last time. I'm going to do some highlights. Of course, there was the call to order, the public comment. Now, here's interesting. They took the public comment period, all right? They had the first public comment period. They had two. They had first and second. And it's because the lady that had come to previous meetings and made this slip that sounded kind of racist about, but I realized it wasn't meant to be that way. She was expressing sorrow that in 2017 we have to have set-asides and quotas to hire women and minority businesses when we should be all over that. And she put it in a more artful way this time that I understood versus the way she put it last time, which was anything but artful. It really was bad. And I think she got the memo and she came back strong. And I get what she's saying. Absolutely. And I think she's absolutely right. But they have to be done. And so, but one thing she pointed out, and she went to the Attorney General and complained about how Steve Hill in the previous meeting shut down their comments. They had went to make public comment. They tried to come back. Hill says, no, you can only go once. That is, what he did was against Nevada law. And so they allowed him. She said, look, I'm coming back here. I'm coming back here twice. Good for her. They approved the agenda. The chairman, the committee thing went on by like a flash. The approval of minutes was done, and they received an update, administrative items relating to the operation of the Stadium Authority, and then the status report on the Oakland Raiders. And that is, now the administrative items is where, number 6 is where we got to the matter of discussing the problem of the, well, I call it a problem, but I call it a problem, but when you're not mentioning it's a problem, it becomes a cover-up when you're saying, hey, our October numbers are in, we have a $379,000 deficit, but that's okay, which is the negative 7.2%. But Jeremy Aguila says, well, that's going to be about 3 or 4% when all the numbers come in. That's our guess. That's his guess. Now, the numbers are in black and white, and they look worse, okay, than I've ever seen before. This whole thing is headed in the wrong direction. But they don't want to point that out. But the big kicker for me is they left out November numbers. This is December 14th going to the 15th. They left them out. By this time, we get the numbers from the previous month. I'm talking about the stadium tax revenue monies that go into, or will go into, the bond issue. Right now, they're stockpiling them, but that revenue on a monthly basis, and they're using part of it to fund the staff of the Stadium Authority. Okay, so I'm going to catch your comments right now. And John Mark says, don't you mean a Creature Features meetings any? Yes. Joseph Jones says, do you think that the Las Vegas Stadium Committee is purposely overlooking all these costs that the Raiders can't afford? I don't think that they're overlooking them behind the scenes, but in terms of putting forward a public face, they're covering it up because because in the wake of the disastrous November meeting, you could tell that there was a concerted effort to put on a smiley face like that and say we're all in our places with bright, shiny faces. That's exactly how it came out. Even Tommy White was in, and he was quieter than he normally has been, and it was a much more peaceful affair. And then Kid Evans spoke in favor of the process, didn't come off as if he was upset. There was one lone gentleman, I believe it's Mr. Clark. I didn't put his name to memory, nor did I the woman that spoke in the public comment period, but they are both people who've been active in the public comment area and concerned about hiring practices and hiring process with respect to the stadium. And this gentleman, African American, has been as vocal as well as Stanley Washington, who was not in the audience, and from what I could see, and did not speak. If he was in the audience, as he's done in the past, he would have said something. He didn't say anything this time, and I didn't see him in the audience. It was a smaller room, not as well attended as past meetings in the cavernous, comparatively speaking, Clark County Commission chambers. So Hennessy says, let's all remember, when you have Mark Davis as the owner, nothing, and I mean nothing, is guaranteed. Steve Macy says, do you think if the numbers don't work that the NFL will save them to save face, or even Jerry Jones would step in? Well, hey Raider Gans, how are you? That all depends on how much money we're talking about. Now, you could make a case, and I tried to do this in the previous live stream today, actually not today, but when I was giving the meeting preview, when I looked at the spreadsheet, there's a case to be made that you can lower certain cost obligations, but even then you're still $640 million in the hole. And as I said last night, the bottom line need is for $1 billion in sponsorship revenues that wasn't even forecast for the stadium to begin with. It was $309 million in revenues, so over a 30-year period. So by contrast, Atlanta's hauled in $1 billion. Yeah, $1 billion with a B dollars in sponsorship revenues. So, and that is the tonic that will save the project. Okay, that's what the project needs. Absent that, I cannot see this project working fiscally, and I can see the Raiders going broke on it. Does that mean they'll go through with it? Again, I'll remind everybody of this fact. It's also a UNLV stadium, and UNLV wants this process to go through. This is, so okay, so there's this effort to make everything look good, not deal with the November number problems, and move forward. Sean Grogan says, I believe there is a lot of backdoor deals going on. If owner Jerry Jones wants it to go through, it's going to go through. Yeah, but on what basis? Okay. I mean, look, Jerry Jones is a maverick businessman, but look, he is not stupid. And I really get annoyed when people just say if Jerry Jones wants it to go through, it goes through. Because, and I don't mean to be insulting, but it's one of those absolute statements that says, well, let's not think about it or talk about it because I have faith in Jerry Jones. You know, that's what you're saying. I have faith in God. Jerry Jones is a human being. God I have faith in. And I'm not going to make a prediction. You know, I'm going to tell you what the problems are here that are known. That's what I do. I don't make predictions. I say, I deal with knowns. I deal with known issues. And this project has a lot of known issues. A ton of them. A ton of them. All right? So, Marcellus Thomas says, just got here, what are we discussing? Look at the title. To finish my statement that Sean Grogan, in his comments, catalyzed me to make, look, when Jerry Jones took over the Dallas Cowboys, they were losing something in the middle of $1 million a month, all right? And Jerry had thought, why did I get involved in this? Jerry is not going to get involved in a situation that's posting a negative 42% internal rate of return or even a negative 20% internal rate of return. He's just not going to do it. Legends, his company, is the organization that's running the concessions. But because of that, it doesn't mean that Jerry has an ownership position. I don't think he can do that anyway. He can't do that with NFL rules. Has an ownership position such that he would put money into this project. Okay? So, Sean Grogan says, isn't he making the dollars off the stadium by owning the food company that will be in the stadium? Yeah, but that's not a lot of money. Okay? If you look at the original SNTIC document, that money from concessions is annually is not an enormous chunk of the revenue. It's not like he's taking in sponsorship revenue. He's taking in food and beverage revenue, okay? But he's not taking in a percentage of naming rights or anything like that. He's not taking in revenue that an owner takes in, okay? Food and beverage is one thing. Events are one thing. Booking events is one thing, okay? But even then, if Jerry Jones and Legends are booking events, they have Las Vegas Sands as competitors already working to build a state-of-the-art music hall on the Strip that seats 18,000 people. That puts them in direct competition with what the Raiders are trying to build in their special events center. Okay? Which hampers what? It hampers the Raiders' ability to generate revenue to pay off the Bank of America loan. All right? They're not talking about that sort of thing. So, hey Raider Flea, how are you? So, they're not talking about that. And what I'll do is make a more detailed spreadsheet based on what the SNTIC put out, so you can see the breakdown, because it's in other documents. I just made a simpler spreadsheet, but I can quickly break that out, line item by line item, line by line item, as was done in the original SNTIC document last year, okay? So, I mean, you could definitely do that. I have to, I'm just checking the batteries here. One moment, folks. I'm just going to check the power level here. Give me one moment. All right, I'm back. I just had to check the power level, folks. So anyway, hey, Bay Area 408, how are you? Joshua A.G., how are you? Adrian Miles. Kevin K.D. says, will the Special Events Center be built once the Raiders abandon the Las Vegas Stadium project? Well, the Special Events Center, there are two things here. First of all, the original name of the Raiders UNLV Stadium was the Large Events Center. That was the original legal name. Then they changed it to the Stadium Project, okay? Separately, what Las Vegas Sands is building is a music hall, music center, a concert center. That's a separate project that's going to be done regardless of what happens with the Raiders and UNLV. All right? Regardless. And I understand that MGM is thinking about its own project as well. So, here, Donald and the Rugrats are in the house. How you doing, Donald? Welcome, Rugrats. So I hope that answers your question, Kevin K.D. I really hope that answers your question. Let me find, just for the purpose of making absolutely certain that you all see the SNTIC document that I'm talking about. SNTIC Stadium Model. I went through this exercise before, but it's worth going through again. This is May of 2016 stadium proposal. Well, actually, here's the Raiders presentation, sources and uses, which was honed and refined over the period of those months. And this was in August of 2016, if memory serves. I'm waiting for this to open. So while that is opening, or I'm waiting for it to open, let me go back to your comments here. And, oh, Kevin K.D. says he's satisfied with my answer. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. And, yeah, this is slow to open. Come on. Oh. As Papa used to say, open says me. I hated Popeye. I was always looking for olive oil to dump him and then beat him up. Yeah, I did say that. Anyway. Oh. But, hey, you didn't have much of a cartoon choice in those days, all right? That is not opening up as fast as I wanted to, so I'll go and continue my point, continue taking your questions and comments. But yeah, and so anyway, what I was going to show you was the breakdown of sponsorships and what the Raiders originally proposed. Also, what the Raiders, the original proposal called for a subsidy not of $750 million, but of $550 million. Okay, and then of course Adelson came along, bumped it up to $750, and Davis says, "Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to walk if I don't get that." And so then they proceeded to beg, plead, cajole, and strong-arm the Nevada legislature into giving them that $750 million subsidy, which I might add has not been let at all, okay? Not been let at all. So, getting back to the problem of this situation. We've got a number of them. We have, first of all, parking issues still really unresolved. A couple of people have said to me they're talking with casinos. And Donald Richardson asked the question, which I'll get to in a second. People have said, well, the Raiders have talked with casino operators. But the problem is that if you're charging $35 a head to park for a Sunday game, and that's 14,000 parking spaces, how do you justify giving up a ticket for, say, J-Lo at what, $100 for 10,000 people, for parking at $35 a head, maybe, for 14,000. Actually, it's not even going to be 14,000 because no single casino has that much space to give away just free and clear in terms of parking, all right? It's going to be chunks. But why should they do that for Raider revenue that will be less, more often than not, than the events they have scheduled for, normally scheduled for a Sunday? And then what about conventions like CES? CES, you are guaranteed to be chalk marked, to be, you know, filled. Let's say that the Raiders have a playoff game, and that playoff game happens to fall on a day, the Sunday, or the Sunday of the CES is going on, the press preview day. It already gets crowded. CES draws 170,000 people, more than 180,000 people. Already gets crowded. So are you going to give up that constant annual source of revenue for parking for a game day that's going to be less than what you would get from the convention goers? That would be stupid. So talking to a casino is one thing, but when you start working through the numbers from the casino standpoint, it doesn't make sense. Now, if the casino is Las Vegas Sands and they're willing to eat the difference, that's news, okay? That's news. Hey, how are you? Now, Donald asked the question, what does that mean, not been let at all? When a bond is issued by Clark County or any municipal government, the term is that it has been let, L-E-T, let out, okay? Clark County hasn't approved it, and not only that, the land transfer hasn't taken place, which would then send us down the path to that eventual development. The land transfer document was introduced today. It was discussed. Due diligence has to be done by the stadium authority to make sure that the land they're going to be getting is what they expect to get and is in proper condition. That is a process unto itself. They didn't say how long that was going to take either, all right? So Thomas Belcher says, it'll never happen. And Rick Rice says something about Eddie's magical touch. I have no idea what he's talking about at all. So that is what it means to let a bond, all right? Donald Richardson asks, so they have started construction or not? They have not started construction. No, they have not started construction. I mean, moving, you know, portable on there or an earth moving equipment. It's not really earth moving equipment. It's more like some things, but they haven't started construction. They don't, right now, where they're at is a situation where they haven't made it clear, okay, that they've completed the soil analysis. That was very quiet. This is why I'm talking about a number of items not being shared, number of truths not being told. We know that it's taken them 7 months to analyze the soil. Is that equipment that's going out there, is that still part of that process? You don't just put, I mean, those, in fact, that earth moving, that equipment put out there wasn't earth moving equipment. You had, I think, a couple of dump trucks. You had dump trucks there, but you didn't have anything that indicated that you're going to actually start drilling cranes in. It's too early. They don't have the money. They don't have the money. So what are they doing? Are they still analyzing? When someone says construction's going on, I think what's happening is they're using an incorrect term. It's not construction. There's a lot invested in putting a pretty face on this process, when in point of fact, it has anything but a pretty face. So Joseph Jones says, my question is, with all these supposed financial minds, no one has come up with the numbers you have, Zenny. Well, what do you mean by that, Joseph? I mean, and when you say that, it says to me that you're not, and I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say this, but it says to me that you're not paying attention. Because the spreadsheet I produced, if you look at it or you ask for a copy of it, is based completely on what the Raiders, Las Vegas Sands, and Majestic developed. All their numbers are there. All I did was extrapolate out their annual numbers to 30 years, which is what you're supposed to do when you're talking about a naming rights agreement at 30 years, and you say it's going to be $7 million a year, and it's there, okay, along with event revenues. And why 30 years? That's the term of the lease, okay? That's the term of the bond issue and the tax collection. So when you say no one's come up with my numbers came from the stadium consultants. I deliberately based my spreadsheet on numbers that the stadium consultants created so that everyone would have a home to go to in terms of where the numbers came from, and therefore proper basis of understanding was trying to be what they were trying to achieve with the project. I didn't come up with, quote, my own numbers, unquote. The estimates, and beyond that, it's simple math. What's the estimate for net operating income? Net operating income, it's revenue minus expenses, okay? So, all right. Now, Joseph Jones says the numbers that prove the Raiders nor the hotel tax would generate the money needed to pay back the bond measure. Again, you can do that, Joseph. All you have to do, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, but I really ask you all to do it. Because you question me on this, but you won't do it. If you won't take the path with me, how are you going to understand what I'm talking about? Take the path. Go to Google, type municipal bond calculator, download it, and then type in the numbers for the needed proceeds. Type in 700 million. Type in the interest rate at 4%, which is ungodly low. And they're not going to see that if the GOP tax bill gets its way. And then look at the monthly expense. That's your debt service. And then take that, that's your debt service, and multiply times 1.5. Look at the result and compare that with the actual revenue. And if you find that the actual revenue is below the debt, that revenue needed, when you add 1.5, then you see the problem. Okay? You can do that. That's math. That's M-A-T-H. That is math. Again, that is math. Okay? So, you can do that. You can do that tonight. What's the term? It's 30 years. You can plug that in. You can do that tonight yourself. Tonight. You can play around with different levels of bond size. It's supposed to be 750 million, but they say they're going to bank 50 million. So you reduce it to 700 million. They have the problem that I'm talking to you about at 700 million. It's all right there. Again, it's math. And the reason why I push it this way is because they, being the consultants, don't want to show you the math. They don't want to tell you what's going on. Then I come along and I figured it out. So there it is. So Joseph says, I guess you're misunderstanding the question. I'm not questioning your numbers, just why has no one questioned them? And I think what's going on with that, to answer your question, is that media has changed. And media has changed in such a way that journalists don't get paid to do that. I have a different background set. This is what I went to school to do. So I've applied what I went to school to do to this project, okay? And so I have a unique approach. And so I have a unique approach. So
it's not in your.
And so I have a unique approach. So the common person writing about this doesn't have that approach, and also they have to answer to editors who don't want that. They don't want that. And then on top of that, let's drill down even further, okay? So we're talking about, in terms of media that are out there, we're talking about really only two outlets. We're talking because, okay, maybe three: the Las Vegas Review-Journal, the Las Vegas Sun, and the Nevada Independent. I haven't seen a Vegas blog that covers this. That's it. So let's drill down even further. Of them, the Las Vegas Sun is more likely to write a critical piece than the Review-Journal, which tends to write puff pieces. When the Nevada Independent gets around to writing about or focusing on this, they'll write something that's informative and critical. But that's seemingly once a month, if not once every blue moon, okay? So you don't have a lot of choices here. And then when the mainstream media has paid attention to this, they've simply regurgitated the simple message that they were told. And this is what I don't like about journalism. A journalist will go to a source, and I say let that source spin them. Now, some of my friends in journalism hate it when I say that. But if you don't know how to do your own math in this instance, and you're only left to asking a person a question who you think is an expert, more often than not, they'll choose the wrong expert. Like people running to talk to Roger Knoll about this project, and Roger Knoll is not a stadium finance expert. Okay? So I'm on live stream, okay?
I don't see your billfold in your jacket.
But I'm on live stream right now, okay?
You don't care about losing your billfold?
I'm on live stream. I'll take care of that in a little bit. I'll be right down. Okay? So anyway, sorry about that, folks. So at any rate, the bottom line is that, okay, the bottom line is that that's my focus. Now, Donald put together an article, says it's still relevant, from something called Travel Weekly, so I've checked it out, about Las Vegas tourism, and it's November 13th, Las Vegas tourism reeling from mass shooting. Yeah, and it is. It is. It's a problem. Oh, it's not chores, Rick Rice. It's something else that I don't want to say what it is. It's not dire because I know exactly where that is. Okay, so that's cool. Thomas Beltran says the longer they take to start construction, the more money it's going to cost. Marc has no money to bridge project. The Kingdom says, what's up? Hey, how you doing, The Kingdom? How are you? Give me one moment. I'll be right back because I know where this thing is that I gotta take care of. I'll be right back. Just give me a second. Okay, back. All right. So as I was saying, let's see here. How come the Chiefs are going down Saturday? You guys, while Zin's away, the mice will play. That's hilarious. What are you guys talking about? Oh, Dilly Dilly, the that's funny. Oh boy. JT the Brick is at the JT the Brick. Wow. The Chiefs are going down Saturday. Maybe not. The Kingdom says. Thomas says, love it, Z. Okay. So I think we've pretty much flogged this whole deal to death, right? As far as the Vegas Stadium Authority and all that, and figured out the problems, right? So, hey, by the way, well, wait a minute. You have a question here. Marc Davis will lose against the House. The House always wins. Stom Beltran says, "Guy in a nice room." This is not my room. This is not my room. This is an office. See this? This is an office. This is a table. Okay. This is a table. Okay. That's a couch. That's not a bed to sleep on. This is an office. That's what this is. This is all an office. You know, it's funny how some idiots say this is my bedroom. This is the attic. This is not my bedroom. This is not where I sleep. You know, I could if I wanted to, but I don't. And you know, that's it. So no, this is an office. Where I sleep is downstairs, and a long way away from here, in a rather big place. So there we go. Now, this shirt, I don't know who this shirt was a gift. I don't know who it is, okay? Donald Richard says, nice office, don't worry about the haters, and let's get back on topic. Thank you, Donald. I appreciate that very much. I appreciate that very, very much. Because my mom worries about things, and sometimes it's like, hey, everything's taken care of, it's okay. Now, going back through the agenda, which is where I started on here, the meeting, because I'm convinced we haven't significantly flogged this whole Vegas issue to death, all right? And, hey, thank you, teacher. The meeting then moved to receive and update a status report from the Oakland Raiders on the NFL Stadium project. And that is where Marc Davis made his famous, well, or infamous comment. And he said that he appreciated Steve Sisolak and other members of the Stadium Authority putting, quote, a fire under my ass, unquote. That's what he said. That's what he said. And I thought, here's the stadium developer admitting that the government representatives are putting a fire under his ass when, in the vast majority of cases, it's the stadium developer or the developers that put a fire under the government's ass. That blew me away. It really did. Baller says, if the Raiders move, would the Raiders store in the Bay close? I don't know. That's a good question for the Raiders. That's a good question for the Raiders. But I don't know how that's going to happen. And G. Taylor says, telling. So, when Badain said that, I was floored. I was completely floored. Oh, by the way, this is, the Raiders have given their, I found that this document finally actually came to resolution, and where the Raiders gave their project cost info. See, this is what the original numbers were from the Raiders, okay? I get you, you're joking. Okay, thanks, Thomas. It had construction costs, which 1.325 million, land infrastructure and site 375 million, practice facility 100 million, contingency 100 million. Note it doesn't include parking or off-site transportation infrastructure costs, okay, or relocation fee, or Yeah, it doesn't include those costs, which have caused this to balloon to $3 billion. Okay, so that's the project cost estimation, the financing sources and uses. They have sources, they had team, public investment, and then this is private investment, right? They replaced this with a $850 million Bank of America loan. But see, this was an investment. This wasn't something you had to pay back. So this didn't produce its own expense, all right? The uses: stadium construction, land infrastructure, site costs, practice facility contingency, okay? So that's what, those are the original numbers. Those are the original numbers. And those are basics. The SNTIC document that I used was more detailed, much more detailed. This document goes on to talk about the estimated economic and fiscal impact of the project, the media exposure, intangible benefits, benefits to UNLV, bringing a Super Bowl to Las Vegas, to Las Vegas, Super Bowl media exposure, legislative review, and then it talked about, this is interesting, it talked about a room charge of 0.7% versus 88/100 and on top of the existing hotel tax, and it talked about how the room charge would be changed. This is what got them into trouble. Look at this. You see, it says they had the original room tax estimate was at 1%, but there are people who are concerned that that was too high for political reasons. This is what got them into trouble with not having enough stadium tax revenue. So they had this document that says 0.7% or 0.70 versus 88/100, right? And it says the difference here, right, is 0.20. 123 versus 159, okay? So that's what got them into trouble. They were concerned about how, the politicians were concerned about how the tax was going to impact upon the overall room cost. They didn't stop to ask in this, hey, and this is the last slide in this presentation. They didn't stop to ask, is this going to produce enough money for the bond issue? It's not there, okay, at all. So that's why I have said this deal was bad from the start. And it was designed, it wasn't deliberately designed to hemorrhage money, but the way it's designed with its too small a stadium tax rate from the hotel rooms is doing just that, okay? The PSLs are supposed to raise originally 200 million, I assume 250 million, okay? So 250 million. Now it's 12:34 and I was gonna go to retire early. And I'm going to do a live stream. I normally don't do a live stream on Friday night, but I'm going to do one on Friday because there's so much to cover. We have the Raiders, Cowboys, we have a big NFL weekend and a lot of material to go over. So I'm going to do another live stream. This one will be tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, okay? So I'll do that one. So I'll be back. And thanks for everybody for hanging in. This has been a busy night, to say the least. So, but the PSLs will raise that much detail. And by the way, hey, if you have any questions about the deal that you want me to answer in a series of live streams, just send me a email, zinni@zinni62.com. Right there. Send me an email with, say, question for Zinni about the Las Vegas Stadium deal. And I can send you a response, but I can also use that in my next vlog to discuss that, right? So that way you all are appropriately informed and you don't have to worry about coming up with questions to ask on the fly, okay? All right, everybody, good night. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, watch horror movies, keep America strong, and watch out for American Jedis to visit. American Jedis are coming, okay? Good night, everybody. Wax on, wax off, as Crawford 371 would say. Wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, wax on. Good night. Good night. Good night. You got it. See ya. Thanks.